to pop into full bloom, that's when I remember why this beautiful bush is called Christmas cheer, because their lovely flowers bring smiles full of joy, just like the very special season of Christmas. When I meditate on this season, I quickly begin to think about what I'm grateful for, especially during the many long weeks of gray, overcast, cold days. And as I think about the flowering rhodies, the sure-footed robins, and those tiny, brave little crocus buds, guess what? I'm also reminded of spring, another wonderful season of new beginnings. I like to think of spring as the queen of making a fresh start. Think about this. If spring were a person, she would ask you, what gives you life? What gives you life? What satisfies you? She might also ask, where can you make room for more satisfaction in your life? Where can you make more room for more satisfaction in your life? Another question she might ask is, what do you need to let go of in order to make room for what you want more of in your life? Now that's a great question. What do you need to let go of in order to make room for what you want more of in your life? What's on your to-do list that you need to simply say no to? That's a good question for me. So what do you need to say no to? Another question is, what no longer serves you in this particular season of your life? You can also ask yourself, where do I want to be? Now that's a great question, isn't it? Most folks just sort of wander through life without asking any questions of themselves at all. They just accept the hand that life deals out. But if you want your life to be different, you know what? You have to act differently. And one key step is to ask yourself two good questions. And the questions are, where am I now? Where am I now? And where do I want to be? Both of these questions are about vision. Now, as a leadership coach and consultant, I have supported many people for many, many years who ask the very same questions. Where am I now? And where do I want to be? Before I became a consultant and started my own business, I was a leader in corporate America, right? And I supported people on my team using these very same questions. Where are you now? And where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? These very simple questions can yield incredible, life-changing results. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So whether you're working on organizational strategy or building a better team or building a better you, these questions will help you move in the direction you want to go. As I mentioned earlier, these questions are all about vision. Having a vision is key to making a fresh start. Having a vision or having a dream, having something in front of you, something to strive for, something to guide your actions and guide your choices is absolutely essential to creating the life you want. So let's put first things first. To make a new start, you've got to have a dream, right? You have to have a vision. And once you have that dream, you can visualize and pray about your dream. You can meditate and recite daily affirmations about your dream. You can even set goals and create action plans. All of these strategies will move you closer to achieving your dreams. But to make your dreams become a reality, to make your vision manifest, to make them come true, one thing is a must do, okay? You have to act on your goals. You have to act on your action plans. That's right. You've got to act. Because when you do, when you take that first step, then guess what? Providence moves too, to support you in making your dreams a reality. One of my many inspirations for this podcast is my daughter. As a little girl, she was very clear about what she wanted. Now, she didn't have her life all planned out at that young age, but I remember when she was in her early teens, she was about maybe 13, 14 years old. And one day she declared, she said, I do not want to go to college here in this state of Washington. Now, her declaration seemed to come out of the blue, but clearly she'd been thinking about this for quite some time. She had been considering what she wanted for her life. And at that young age, she set her sights on going to college on the East Coast. She wanted a different experience and a different life. She wanted to branch out, to expand her horizons, to enhance her learning opportunities. In short, she wanted to make a fresh start for herself. And several years later, when the time was right, she applied to and was accepted at a number of colleges on the East Coast, several thousand miles away. Now, my husband and I took her to visit several colleges, and when she found the one that felt like home, she was ready to begin again. Without knowing a single soul, my daughter moved across the country and made a new start, a new beginning. She made a new life for herself, not once, not twice, but several times during the past decade. And you know what? When I think about others in my family, there are so many stories about people making a fresh start. For example, I've shared with you that my immediate family is part of what we call the Great Migration, that mass exodus of African Americans leaving the southern states to make a fresh start in the northern states. And even before the stories about the Great Migration, there are stories I remember hearing when I was a little girl, stories that came through my elders, those who remember relatives who had a memory of stories about slavery, who had a memory of their fathers and mothers making a new start in a totally different culture and place 10,000 miles away from their homeland of Africa. And you know what? When I think about my own life, I've made a fresh start many, many times. Like my daughter, I also wanted to attend an East Coast college. And I was accepted, but you know what? We just didn't have the money. My parents could not afford to pay for me to attend. So I attended a local college. In fact, I attended the fabulous University of Michigan. And I got a job during my time there to help my parents out with my expenses. When I went to graduate school, I attended on scholarship. And just like my own daughter, I also left home to attend USC. I moved from Michigan to California to attend university with no network to speak of, no prospects for work, and yet I was able to make a fresh start. What I know is that when you want to begin again, one of the most helpful things you can have is a vision for what's possible. Now, I want to be sure you heard what I just said. I didn't say you have to have a goal or even a plan. I said you have to have a vision for what's possible. And along with your vision, you need to have one sure thing. One sure thing. And that one thing is commitment. Commitment. William H. Murray, a Scottish mountaineer and writer, says this about commitment. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. I'm going to repeat that. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. He goes on to say, concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man, or woman for that matter, could have dreamed would have come their way. Murray says, I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So in other words, action plus commitment equals magic and genius, right? Action plus commitment equals magic and genius. When you begin, when you commit, it is as if all of a sudden the universe just starts to cooperate with you. But it's not all of a sudden. It seems all of a sudden, but it isn't. The reason that it seems all of a sudden is because we've begun. We've committed. And when we do, when we begin, when we commit, God moves too. That's what Murray means by providence. Know this. Providence will move only when you do. Now, if you still doubt in some way, if you only act some of the time, or if you work on plan A and plan B at the same time because you're afraid that plan A will fail, guess what? Success might very well slip right through your fingers. It will escape you. But once you really commit, once you let go and really say goodbye to what's behind you, and you really go for it, that's when magic begins to happen. So, what are you waiting for? Go for it. Jump. Now. Stop procrastinating. Begin today. Now, there are so many folks out there who know the value of going for it, who know the benefit of commitment, but for whatever reason, fear stops them. Does that sound like you? You might make a tiny step, but fear stops you from taking the next step or stops you from following through. Sometimes your fear is so strong, so powerful, it can actually stop you cold, can stop you dead in your tracks, so you don't even begin. You don't even start. Here's the thing. You must not let fear or anything else rule you anymore. You must not let fear or anything else stop you in your tracks. You must begin. Begin with a burning desire. You must begin with a fire in your heart, a fire in your soul to make a difference. First, in your own life, so that you can make a difference in the lives of someone else. So when you let go of that fear, when you can say no to fear ruling your life, you can actually create You make the space in your life. You clear the decks so that you can live into your highest and best self. You can live into